Hi, I'm ABC's Mary Bruce, and we're here live on Capitol Hill as the Senate prepares to act later today on several gun measures. Now, we're joined here by Erica Lafferty. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
You are here advocating for stricter gun measures, and this is a pretty personal cause for you. Your mother you lost in the Sandy Hook shooting. Tell us, what are you advocating for? What is your message to lawmakers today?
So, I think really the biggest thing is my mom was murdered in 2012 at a time I think my niece was 6 months old. She never even had a chance to know her grandma. And I want to be able to tell lawmakers about her because you hear the statistics all the time. 91 people are killed a day, countless others are injured. But it is so commonplace in the United States that it's so easy for it to become a faceless issue to lawmakers. So I'm literally walking around with Disarm Hate on one side and a picture of my mom on the back, just asking them to please keep my mom in mind when they cast their votes this evening.
Literally putting that face to the actions that they're taking here today. Now, there are 4 measures up today that that lawmakers can have a chance to vote on, 2 from each side of the aisle. They're intended basically to prevent terrorists from being able to purchase guns and also expand background checks. What specifically would you like to see lawmakers do here today as they keep your mother's memory in mind?
I mean, there are 2 really good amendments on the table today. Senator Murphy is really calling for a background check to be done on every single gun sale. That's a super important thing. And then Senator Feinstein has the terror gap bill, and it's as simple as if you're on a terror watch list, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun. If you can't get on a plane because they don't think it's safe, why should you be able to buy an AR-15 in 5 minutes?
This is, as you mentioned, a familiar place for a lot of people here in Washington, across the country. We have seen this before. We've had this debate before. We've seen how many mass shootings. In fact, all of these measures that are up today have all come up before.
Yes.
After Sandy Hook, after San Bernardino, all these measures were brought before lawmakers, and they all failed before. Does it surprise you that they're all expected to fail again today?
I think the important thing to think about is after Sandy Hook, that was December of 2012, we got the vote on the Manchin Toomey background checks in April of 2013. It took 4 months. After Orlando, it took 4 days, and people on both sides of the aisle are coming together and putting their heads together and trying to find some type of common ground. And the fact that so far, the organization that I work for, Everytown for Gun Safety, alone has driven over 60,000 phone calls into the senators' offices this week says something. People are ready for a change, and we're going to demand that.
You sound pretty optimistic, even though pretty much everyone agrees that these measures this afternoon are doomed. But it sounds like you're saying you at least see some baby steps in the right direction.
Well, I think the important thing to remember is that we're just around the corner from elections. A lot of these senators are up for re-election in 2016, and we will absolutely remember this. We're going to take a very close look at who casts their votes and what they're voting for, and we will definitely be there to remind the voters when election time rolls around.
You think that election now, just a few months away, is weighing heavily on senators' minds as they head in there to vote today? Now, also, what are some of the things that are being voted on today? Lawmakers do agree on. Despite the differences, despite everyone retreating to their partisan corners, most lawmakers agreed, for instance, that suspected terrorists should not be able to have access to guns. Would you like to see them at least be able to take action on the things that they agree on, even if it might mean, passing something that's a little bit more narrow than you would like to see?
I think there has to be movement. I think all of America agrees that there has to be movement. We've seen people that typically don't talk about guns at all come out on this issue since the Orlando shooting, and that definitely is, a super important thing. I would like to see specific bills pass through. What is the point of, focusing primarily on mental health if the funding isn't there to get the mental health records into the NICS system? And what is the point of having all of the records in the system if you're not going to do a background check on every gun sale? So these things really do go hand in hand, and they're going to have to play together, and it is going to have to be a really comprehensive package.
Critics say it's not about guns, this is about terrorism. They point to the fact that a lot of these measures that are now being voted on wouldn't necessarily have done anything to prevent some of these recent mass shootings. What's your response to those critics?
It's easy access to guns. It's the fact that someone can be prevented from getting on a plane, but they can go and buy a gun. It's the fact that we don't have a system in place for someone who is violently mentally ill or a convicted domestic abuser. We don't have things in place to stop dangerous people from having super easy access to firearms. So, I mean, I get accused all the time of blaming the gun, and it's not per se that I'm blaming the gun, it's blaming the easy access to guns, and that's what we need to address. We need to really make sure that our lawmakers are putting effort into stopping that.
You mentioned it's been several years since your mother was killed. We've now seen several more mass shootings, the worst mass shooting in American history just last week. Why is it so hard to see any kind of change on the gun issue?
Honestly, I think that too many of our elected officials are just in the pocket of the gun lobby. But now, for the first time ever, there is a significant counterweight to the gun lobby. You know, I work again with Everytown for Gun Safety and Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America, and we have 3.3 million supporters, and we have a chapter in every 50 states with moms on the ground, and we have seen significant progress in the states. It's just a matter of switching that over to the federal side now and really giving them the push that they need.
You think you're being able to really counterbalance some of the NRA's messaging at this point?
Absolutely.
When you look ahead, what do you think it's going to finally take? You mentioned, obviously getting your message out there. What is it going to finally take to see lawmakers come together and finally act on this issue? We're hearing a lot of talk about it. They're considering these measures, but what's it going to take to finally push it over that tipping point?
Electing a Congress who cares more about public safety, because really that's what we're talking about. We need to elect a Congress that cares more about public safety than they do about campaign funding.
Mm-hmm. What's your message finally to other advocates, to other families of victims who may feel like they're just hitting their head against the wall? That time and time again, nothing seems to get done. How do you keep going?
We're here. We are all here. We have an amazing network of over 1,000 survivors that we work with. We have, again, a chapter in all 50 states, and we are loud. And just being able to watch people care so truly and so deeply about this issue is honestly what keeps me going. We need every single person to step up and every single person to be there in this fight with us. So get involved is the best thing I can say. It's all I can ask. Call your senator, speak your mind.
You have 2.5 hours till they go onto the floor to cast their votes on these amendments. What's your last message to our viewers if they want to make sure that their message is heard in these next 2.5 hours?
Call your senator. You can dial 64433. Text 64433. The words disarm hate, and you follow the simple prompts, and you will be connected right over to your senator's office.
Erica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
you all so much for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Stay tuned to abcnews.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook for every update on these votes coming up. Thank you.